Hello my delicious...
Bonjour mes délicieuses co-créatrices. Hello my delicious co-creators. Lilou here. Ça va être en anglais. I'm going to speak in English from now on. I'm here with the two authors, Nina and Hélène, of a wonderful, delightful book. Oh my god, I've got the Norwegians here in France. I love it. You girls rock. They wrote Les Joies d'en bas. This is definitely a must read for all women, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And we're live on Facebook. We might as well. This is in English, as I said, but we'll subtitle this in French. You've been touring for a little while?
Yeah, for a bit over a month now. Yeah.
Having fun?
Oh yes, a lot of fun.
This is incredible timing for this book. Did you realize it when you wrote it?
No, definitely not. It's still such a surprise to us that all these countries want to publish our book. It's been sold to 34 language areas now.
You can't even keep up with the numbers.
No, or was it 35?
No,
it's 34. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're these two ladies studying medicine, right, in Oslo?
Oh, she's a doctor now. I'm a doctor.
Yes. I was wondering because it says you would be graduating in 2018. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And you decided to you had this blog, right?
Yes.
And then more and more questions, and you decide to when did the book come up?
Well, it started out with Ellen and I. We met each other in medical school. The first week, we started volunteering as sexual education teachers next to school. Yes, we met. Putting condoms on polystyrene penises.
It was fun.
Not real penises, like these plastic penises. Models.
Yep.
And then we did that for a couple of years and had a lot of fun teaching teenagers and sex workers and refugees around Oslo about sexual health. And then, but after a while, we realized that women and men had so many questions about their bodies, and we wanted to reach out to more of them. So we started a blog, and then that became one of Norway's most read health blogs in less than a month. So it didn't take that many months before we had a book deal, and then.
So then you had to study at the same time and write the book? How did it work out?
Well, we were bad students.
Very bad students.
We spent, most of our free time and also a lot of time that we should have spent studying, writing this book. But it was great because this book covers topics that you also need to know in medical school, and it's good to specialize. So now we know a lot about a part of the female body that a lot of doctors overlook. So
how overlooked is it in the medical program?
Well, it's very overlooked because what we write about is mostly common problems, problems with different anatomy, common female diseases, menstrual cramps, things to do with your cycle, contraception,
or sexuality.
And
sexuality. Thank you for talking about anal sex and other things.
Yeah, and I mean anal sex or lack of desire, for example. That's not diseases.
Yeah,
but it's still something that women have a lot of questions about, and they're curious or anxious about it.
Yeah.
And doctors don't really have good answers. So if you look up in a medical textbook, in med school, for example, which is what most doctors have as the basis of their knowledge, I mean, it doesn't say anything about how to have anal sex without, doing anything wrong there, or how to get a better sex life. Then you have to
or even how to deal with when we have those smells or some other things. What does that mean?
Discharge.
Yeah,
What's discharge?
Yeah. If you go to a doctor with that, then the doctor will just say, "Oh, that's normal," and send you back out the door.
Yeah.
And for a woman who is really uncomfortable with the discharge, maybe afraid that it's off-putting for her partners, that can feel really condescending, just having the doctor say like, "Oh, why are you coming here with this? This is normal," and just send you out. So what we are doing here is to write the answers to these everyday questions that women have because of problems that aren't taken seriously, like discharge.
And even, I think it's even beyond questions we have. Like, we discover really a lot of things that we don't know or we're not even written about. I mean, there's a lot of things that you even have question mark on that are not even truly yet fully spoken about in the medical
like the
field.
G-spot or
we don't have an answer to
and I like that.
about the G-spot, and we've tried very consistently in the book to be honest about that. When, you know, if you look into, and because that's annoyed us in a lot of other science books, medical books, they often claim to have the answer.
Yes.
Like
the old way.
Yeah,
huh?
the
That's
answer.
old way.
And the point is that there's so much in medicine that changes every single day. So to say that I have the answer to this question is often difficult. And it would be to lie or deceive women.
Would be biased in some way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're trying to be honest and
Yeah.
be like, no, you know, we don't have a good answer to this. There are theories. One theory says this, another theory says that, but we don't know what's the truth. And other people will claim that they have the answer, but I think
the openness is very much something that is is missing in science
And
sometimes.
yes.
It's so rigid.
and I think we believe that women are very smart creatures.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God! Finally,
That
we had to have Norwegians to tell us that.
It's good also to see how science is, or how there are so many insecurities yet. And I think, like Nina says, women are smart. Women can take that. You don't need to have this concrete underlined answer to know that more research is needed, or even to be curious, to ask questions, and to feel fascinated when you read more about female sexuality. So
yeah. And that's the problem with a lot of female health, sexual health, is that because there aren't any very clear-cut answers, doctors and medical professionals have kind of pulled out of the whole debate, because they're like, oh, but this is not science, and this is not real medicine, and then they've let kind of
the quacks.
So we often get asked the questions like, oh, so what do you do for bloatiness, for example, when you have your menstruation? And then we have to be honest and be like, well, there is no scientific answer to that. You can try different things, but there's no...
What are some of you speak about the clitoris, and there are some other books that just came out about that. There's a lot of misconceptions about that, huh?
About the clitoris?
Yeah,
sure.
We don't really know. I mean, it's huge. There's this little pea on top, but underneath there is, it's like a whole real sexual. I mean.
Huge organ.
Yeah.
We call it an iceberg. You know, with the Titanic, just a little bit sticking up, and then there is a mountain underneath. That's like the clitoris. So it's not taking down boats, but it is large.
Yeah, I'm sure it could take down boats.
If it were, the equivalent to a real iceberg, it would be large. So the part that's on the outside is the equivalent to the tip of the penis, the penile head, the glans penis. And the part that's on the inside of the body is the equivalent to the penis shaft. Because men and women have the exact same, men and women come from the same structures. Their organs come from the same structures.
Yeah, you show this drawing showing how the first weeks our sex is the same, really. I mean, there's no sex at that time.
Keep talking.
And it looks similar, and then it kind of, it's either a man or a woman.
Yeah,
and I was surprised about that. Yes, there we go. Let's bring it forward. Yeah.
So on top here, this is the genital. That's the same for men and women. And then to each side here, you can see how the female and the male genitals develop. Where women get labia, men get the scrotum. So if you ever look a man between the legs and look at this thin line that's in the middle of the scrotum, that's actually where the labia grew together. So if you take a pair of scissors, or don't do that, but you can actually change how, if you do surgery for trans people, you can make a vulva out of a scrotum. And also the clitoris is the same as the penis, and on the inside of the body we have this large legs of erectile tissue. So women have erections too. We have a nice picture of that.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, here.
So this is the
so much
iceberg. This is what you see on the outside, and this is the clitoris on the inside, and this is the vaginal opening. So you can see that the clitoris is all over.
They're
down
saying
there.
how cool
Yeah.
it was there to write this book.
Yes. It's interesting.
You dared.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
What
we
was
did.
the most challenging things, or what was the most difficult to report on this, or to write about, or to go through, or was it at times like, whoa?
Actually, we've had, we can't complain about anything really. We've had an amazing reception both in Norway and in all the other countries.
But as you were writing it, you know, as you were
I mean,
discovering
we
more
had-
and more things.
The difficulty we had is that we didn't always have the confidence to believe that we would be the best people
legitimate.
to give this information, because you know there are so many experts, so many gynecologists, and we were medical students. I'm still a medical student, and writing this book, giving this medical information, it can be really hard to dare to do that if you're not an expert.
Yeah.
But we still think that we had a strength being just medical students, or you know, just novices.
Like the
because
charm of the
we're
intestine,
curious. We're curious, and we dare to ask the stupid questions.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's where we are coming from.
Yeah.
And I mean, often when we had difficult questions that we couldn't find the answer to in the literature, we would approach our professors or people we know of in Norway who are known as experts on those topics, and most of them would be extremely helpful. Sit down, they would read our texts, you know, send us a bunch of research articles to read and help us along the way.
Because men and women, it's more open there. No, there's more
less of a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Well, it is very hierarchical.
Men
but
between
we
men
have...
and women. How is it?
Oh, that's okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, there are a lot of female professors and female...
Especially in gynecology,
in the system. So we asked both men and women to help us with these answers, and we got help from both.
But I mean, we have, I know... But I know, especially in France, the medical system is so hierarchical, much more than in Norway. And I know that it's such a difference between the prestige of the different specialities. And we see that in Norway as well. I mean, when we approached, I remember when Ellen approached a Norwegian professor in gynecology with some questions on the hymen and about female virginity. And she got this really offensive answer, you know, where she said that these were not interesting questions.
Oh my God!
Why were we asking these questions that had nothing to do with medicine?
Yeah, you must have faced arrogance.
But I'm not sure it was arrogance. It's more about, you know...
she said, I don't find these questions interesting.
Yeah.
But yes, that's
how can
true.
that not be arrogant?
But I think when it comes from you, if you are a professor and you are so into, you have a special way of seeing things that we haven't lost yet. I mean, if you are focused on bodily disease, it's really hard to see all the social aspects.
Yeah, you're like this.
And for us, it was really
they're like, oh, but
interesting. So we wanted to ask how many women bleed the first time they have an intercourse.
Yeah.
And that wasn't seen as medicine. And I can understand that it's not seen as medicine for a gynecologist, but it's still really important.
Yeah.
So then we had to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And we found the answers. And that
we
was
found the pathologists became our best friends. So the people who
the
have...
forensic doctors.
Yeah, the forensic, but...
She's a forensic doctor.
Yeah, forensic doctor. But they were in Norway, their first pathologists, and then forensic. Anyways, doesn't matter. People who cut in dead bodies.
Yes, you know, and look at crime
things like CSI. Those became our best friends.
The CSI doctors.
So back to the Imen, they're also there, the hymen, you say in English?
Yeah.
There is also there a lot of misconception as to like if a woman would lose her virginity.
Yeah, we say that
like
all
if
the time.
that was related, just that was, you know, if you lose your hymen then you lose your virginity. But that's that's a lot more than that. That we're not really taking in consideration. Like,
well,
it's
you
a
can't
initiation.
lose your hymen.
No, I mean, The first question, of course, is what is virginity? And that's really vague, so we're not going into that right now. But we are going to talk about the hymen. And people think that the hymen is something you lose the first time you have sexual intercourse. In reality, the hymen isn't damaged by sex for most women. It's a ring of tissue that's super elastic, and when you have sex, it will... it's elastic enough to handle a penis or a vibrator or whatever you like,
or tampon,
taking damage. So only about 50% of women bleed the first time they have intercourse, and even if it tears a little and bleeds a little, it doesn't disappear. So you can call yourself a virgin or not, but your hymen will still be there. And this makes, virginity checks are totally unscientific and shouldn't be done. It's just about controlling women. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, revirgination, hymenoplasty, when you operate, I mean, it's all bullshit because you're not recreating a hymen. What they're just doing is making the vaginal opening so tight that you can't put anything up in there without being sure that the woman will bleed. Yeah. And that's a horrible surgery.
In France, there's a lot of doctors that at the end, after giving birth, they just tighten the vagina without really asking even the woman, because they're gonna earn some more hundreds of euros.
Yes,
they make it
tight. I heard they actually call it, the husband stitch.
The husband stitch.
It's the extra stitch.
You have that too.
I'm not sure. I don't think that's,
I've heard of it in Norway, but I don't think I don't think they do.
I'm not sure.
And also, it would be a very weird if you just do that at the outer opening of the vagina. It won't make it tighter. When you go further into the vagina, it will only be tighter actually right at the opening. So I don't see why you would do that.
It's interesting to have your perspective, but how does the people in medicine, I mean the doctors, have read the book, and how are they receiving it, and what are their reactions? I mean,
well, they have been good, mainly. One of our professors, our teacher in gynecology, rated it for the Tidsskrift.
Journal
of
the
Norwegian
Medical
Association, and gave us a great review. So a lot of people like it. Some people who are experts in, tiny fields, for example, people who are experts on polycystic ovary syndrome or endometriosis, may find that we don't have this on-point information that you have if you have been researching a topic for 10 years. So then we have gotten some feedback that we should have written more about certain topics, or written in a different way.
You cover so many topics.
This is a book for, not average, a medical reader. It's for the average woman out there. So this is a simplification. It's a popularization of, heavy research. So there are so much more to learn if you want, but then you have to go to medical.
I mean, this is not you can't read this and be a gynecologist.
But it's informing women about their own body, and then they're going to question what their doctors or gynecologist is going to say, because you're bringing some information. So it's bringing power to us.
Yes, and it ensures that you can go into your doctor's office with really intelligent questions, and you can have a discussion instead of just getting all this information that you can't process at the in there. So that's very important to us, and we strongly believe that information and true scientific information about your body can be very empowering.
For example, knowing that your clitoris is large, knowing that you have erection, knowing that you have this active sexual organ, and that you're not just this, hole that people sometimes talk about when they see female genitalia. It's not just about the vagina. We have.
Or not just about pleasure. There is also because there's
and
a lot
also,
of humiliation that we have through having our menstruation and so many different things.
And also that if you, for example, have very strong menstrual pains and your doctor is not taking you seriously, after having read our book, you can say, "But have you considered if I have endometriosis, and then the doctor will have to treat you in a whole different way, because the doctor will have to explain to you why they don't think you have endometriosis. And when you know what that is, you can actually say, well, I don't think that was a good argument, and you can have a whole different discussion, and then you can know if you're having a doctor who's not taking you seriously, and then find a new one.
Choose.
Or you can know if your doctor is actually right,
or
which is also often the case. A lot of women are afraid when it comes to their health. They have, you can have anxiety issues, thinking that you have certain diseases, cancer. You can think that you have endometriosis, and often that is not the case. Cancer is super rare, but if you know about it, if you know how it works, it's easier to have a good conversation with the healthcare personnel and to see that okay they're right, then I can relax. So but you need some information to
we have so many
that.
fears because we didn't have this information, so then our mind goes.
All the women who are asking if it's if there are clots or brown blood in the period, is that dangerous? If the period is late, if it's early, if it's different, if it's runny. If you just know a bit more about menstruation as it is, then it's
more
easier
power to us.
Yes.
What do you see for women? What's beyond this book? What is your inspiration, or what is your wish? Or
we want women to feel better in their own skin and to be proud just the way they are. That's an ultimate goal. It's not something we can do, but it's for us it's important to give women the tools to reach that place where they are happy with themselves, and to do that they need information, but you have to do a lot of the work yourself, of course. Really liking yourself is about
learning to love yourself and our differences. We're all so different.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, and that's what makes it so great. To be
because
human
the sex, the female sex, there's no one that is similar.
We're all different. We're all unique. And we all look different. Like snowflakes. We're becoming a cliche.
Yes, we are a cliche.
We're all snowflakes.
No, we're not.
Where were we?
We're all different.
Yes, our vulvas are very different.
Loving ourselves.
And a lot of women are uncertain of how they look between their legs, and we see that all the time. And I think it's important for women to know that over half of women, for example, have longer inner labia. So the inner lips of the vulva are, for over half of women, it's actually longer than the outer ones. So they can hang down and be very ruffled and folded and have quite different color from the rest of your skin. So when you hit puberty, for a lot of girls, the lips will grow a lot, and they can take a darker color like purple or darker brown or deep red, a whole different color. And I think women need to know these things, because if they do, it might be easier to think that this is just a normal variation.
Most of the questions we get have the same, have the same form. It's I have this and this. Am I normal? People are always asking, is this normal? And most of the time, yes, it is normal. And we just want people to know about the spectrum of normality when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to desire, when it comes to anatomy. If we were just taught that in school, or if we had more books like this, or if we were more open in our conversation, it would be so much easier to know that you are normal. Because a lot of people, it's not just that they're not comfortable, they actually think that they are sick. They think that
which creates more fears, more stress in the body. What's the impact of stress?
Well, it's
huge, isn't it?
Stress is we're just starting to learn all the effects that stress have on our bodies and our minds, and that's not our topic of research, but having high stress levels are very bad for you, both the immune system and your memory, and and everything
Yes, and,
basically in your body.
Your mood and anxiety, depression.
Yeah, but the point is that when it comes to sexuality, I mean, stress has a lot of bad effects.
Yeah,
on
even
our
on
bodies.
libido.
Yeah, but that was what I was coming to. That if you have a lot of stress, it's very natural to have dramatically reduced libido. I mean, some women get the opposite, that they have like sex desire as a stress response, but that's not the norm. For most women, it's the opposite way, that if you have too much to do at work, if you're too stressed out about, family or job or whatever it is, interpersonal relationships, it will affect your libido and your want for sex. Because most women and men need to have overskudd, surplus energy.
Yes, surplus energy.
That's not the
It's
proper
like an
English way.
overflowing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like the cup needs to be full
Yeah.
to feel, because a lot of people seem to think that desire and sex is a drive that we have. So it's like being hungry or cold, or that you have to drink or eat to survive. But sex is not like that. It's not like it's something we have all the time and needs to be.
You won't die if you don't have sex.
Yeah,
That's
no
the
one
point. I mean,
dies
it's
from
like-
lack of sex.
And you're not. You can be starved for sex as a feeling, but it's not like if you don't have it, then the
die.
need will rise. It can also be like if you don't have sex, then you will want it less. So it's not automatic. I mean, if you don't eat, you will want to eat. That's
Some women think they've lost it,
Yeah, you won't.
and they will never come back.
Yeah, but that's
And from the day to the next.
But that's the point, that you need to have the energy and time and will to feel desire. It's not something that is automatically there. You
Taking
need
time
to,
for ourselves.
Yeah, you need to prioritize and take care of yourself and your relationships, or your one relationship or your many relationships.
Yeah.
or the
and also
relationship to yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, masturbating, the private sex life that you have with yourself is really important to also have a good sex life with others.
Je suis avec les auteurs des droits d'en bas.
In Norway, there have been done surveys recently who show that a lot
Fini
of...
les tabous. They said,
Fini les tabous, oui.
Yeah, done with the taboos.
Oh yeah.
Deborah, thanks for the beautiful idea, giving to each woman information about herself.
Yeah, it's so
Oh,
much
that's nice.
Yeah.
I love the new generation, very open mind with their bodies. Do you feel that? How do you feel this new generation is of women?
Well, I don't think
maybe
it's
too
about...
liberated or too
No.
free?
No, we're not.
You're not.
It's and also this is not about people are, I think, just as ashamed today as they used to be, but we're ashamed of maybe different things. What we see that how young people are affected by a world where social media and porn is the norm is that they have different anxieties when it comes to sex. There has been a lot of media cases in Norway recently about young men going to their doctor asking for Viagra because they don't have erections for long enough, because they've been watching porn. They think that every intercourse needs to last for such a long time. Young women feel that they need to have anal sex because they've seen that on porn. So we are not too liberated. We just have openness in a way that's not good for us. Learning about sex through pornography, learning about how bodies should look in social media, that's not real openness, because we're not talking about the problems that are also tied to sexuality. We're not talking about things that are difficult, things that we need to work with. And if we are talking about the difficulties, it's just from one person's perspective. So in this book, we're trying to talk about the common and general sexual lives and issues of people. So it's not like, oh, I have pains here and I had cancer, and then everyone else who reads this thinks that, oh, they have pain there, that has to be cancer too. That's not how you should learn about health. That is not how you should learn about disease or problems or issues. So we have to talk about common problems, and we have to see how pornography and social media affects us in a bad way. So yes, no, we're not
only bad way. I mean, there's great things.
Open, but I meant society or very young women. That
but are we so open? I mean, people seem to think that, but we still have, you still have people coming to the doctors crying because they don't have the possibility to talk with their partners about their issues. We are still whispering when we borrow tampons from our friends. It's like, are we really that open?
How many women
are we liberated?
How many women talk about masturbation? Every time we say that women should masturbate more, people are like, oh, wow, it's
you're so open.
We're so open.
Is that open? Women, it's so healthy.
Why
it's
masturbation
so good for us.
is so important?
Why it's important? Yeah. Because it's, to be honest, I think it's pretty naive to think that women should know how their bodies work sexually if they've never masturbated. It's your body, and you know what feels good, and to expect that other people will figure that out for you without you even knowing it yourself. It's kind of a high expectation of your partners. So that's one thing.
That's pressure.
That's pressure. It's a lot of pressure to put on a partner. And also, that's one thing. But the other thing is that it's very healthy. I mean, it's good for reducing stress, like we talked about. It can increase desire. It can increase. We've seen in studies that women who masturbate more have more positive body image, are more happy about their own bodies. They are proud, because they feel like, oh, my body can do great things. I can have pleasure. I can give myself pleasure. That produces a positive image of yourself, and also it leads to better sleep and lower cortisol levels, which is the stress.
Is that phases maybe in a woman's life to masturbate more early on, and then as a couple that regular?
No, but most young women don't masturbate.
That's a problem. I mean, and that's why we're like, are we really that open? I mean, people still think that masturbation is a taboo, and people are still ashamed to talk about it. Recent surveys in Norway show that up to 40% of women masturbate 5 times a year or less. And
5 times.
5 times a year, that's really little. And then a really large percentage of that group doesn't masturbate at all.
Yeah, it's like 1 out of 5 women never masturbate.
Young women in their early 20s.
They were 18 to 21.
So really young women, and also women who are often at the peak of desire and sexual curiosity. And so
I mean, of course, if you've been with your husband for 15 years and you have 3 kids and you have sex every other week, no, we're not saying we expect you to masturbate every other day. I mean, if you don't want to.
But if you don't want to, why should you?
Yeah, but as for young women, I think it's very healthy and smart to masturbate.
Yes, people have to remember that sex is a skill, and just like everything else, skill doesn't just fall down from the sky and then you're perfect at something. You have to practice, and masturbation is practice for sex with other people, but also practice just in itself to have better sex with yourself.
Makes totally a lot of sense. The sex 1-2 times a week, you say there's no average really, right? Because
there is an average. There is an average.
There is an average.
The average is about 1.5 times per week.
For heterosexual couples.
Yeah.
It's more for homosexual
couples. It's a bit more for homosexual couples and about the same for lesbian couples, but the fact here is that we don't have good statistics for these groups because most research is sadly done on heterosexual couples, and that may be because it may be because these are the largest group. It may also be because it's heteronormative studies. But these are the numbers we have to go on.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so important what you covered too on herpes and
herpes.
When you have how do you say
cold sores.
Or for oral sex, and you also speak about that because there's a lot of things of transmitted diseases sexually that we don't really realize when we have many partners, and we think we're protecting ourselves and we have doubts. I mean, there's just all this information that we didn't have.
I think when we are talking about STIs or sexually transmitted infection, we need to take herpes first on its own and then the other things, because herpes is the only thing you should not be afraid of. Herpes is super common. It's the same thing that you have on your lips or your mouth that you can get on your genitals, and actually now 80% of young women get the type on their genitals. That's usually from the mouth, the herpes simplex virus 1, because there are 2 viruses that you can get on your mouth or on your genitals. If you get that virus, you will just be, you will be in the majority, because 70% of people are infected with herpes. So it's more common to have it than to not have it. The point here is that young people are coming into the doctor's office after getting herpes, crying, thinking that their sex life is over, thinking that they can never have sex again. It's a tragedy for them, but it's not dangerous. It's not possible to protect yourself from it, and most people who have it don't know about it. So
and most people will never get more than 1 or 2 outbreaks in their life.
If you are unlucky, there is treatment options for herpes. So we would like to play down people's hysteria when it comes to herpes. And then there are all the other sexually transmitted diseases, especially chlamydia, mycoplasma, and gonorrhea, which are the bacterial infections that you can get from sexual activity. It's super important to use condoms to protect yourself from these diseases. They can lead to inflammation in your pelvic region that can, if you're unlucky, cause infertility. There are still antibiotic treatments for this, and it's important to treat and to test to stop spreading.
But what people need to remember, that you can also get infected in if you have anal sex and oral sex, because a lot of gay men and men who have sex with men, they are very informed and very good at testing themselves and using condoms. But what we see, or what we've experienced in meeting, especially young women, heterosexual young women, is that they forget that they can get infections also from anal sex and oral sex. So they need to remember that they need to use protection.
But what I love is that it's not scary when we read this.
Now we were a bit scared.
We were a bit scary, but I mean, we are trying to emphasize or focus on the positive sides of sex, but it would be really irresponsible of us to write a book about sexual health without mentioning disease. Which
HIV
historically, and historically these have been, large issues also in the Western world. So it's important that people know about them and learn a bit about STIs without just having the scary stuff out there. Yes.
I was just wondering if they're having questions.
Yeah, there is some questions and saying that Deborah just got the book because she can't wait to read it. So they want to see it. She said, "I just bought the book and
I hope you like it."
Yeah, well, it's doing really well. Oui, cette interview elles sont norvégiennes, exactement, from Norway.
Yes,
and we do it in
Norway.
English because they don't speak French.
We don't
this
speak.
will be translated and sometimes
Elle ne parle pas français. Je parle un petit peu français.
Excellent. Well, this book is definitely a big success here in France, and it's only the beginning.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing this book out, ladies.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
Us. And a hi to all of you, and we hope you like the book if you read it.
Yes. Les voici, les voilà. We can find you on the website?
Yes,
in English too?
You can find us on Facebook. We are called The Wonder Down Under, which is the title of the book in English. And on Instagram, it's at Wonder Down Under.
Yeah, so just Wonder Down Under is our profile there.
Super cool. Well, we're going to translate this for you guys because I know there's a lot of information. Oh my God, the best is to read it. We send you big, big kisses, much love, and see you very soon on Facebook. Bye-bye. Little kiss from each of them so that you can see them from closer. Bisous. Mwah. Mwah. Bye.